Just as it is important to specify the unit of length, when talking about lengths, or distances, the location data only make sense when we know in which coordinate system they are represented. For example, a distance of 100 does not mean much, until you're told that it was measured in feet, miles, meters or kilometers. Similarly, a set of coordinate values, such as 1000, 2500, and 210, does not clearly define a point in space, until you know what coordinate system was used to represent that location. To specify the coordinate system in which to display your map data, select Main menu, Setup, and then select Coordinate System, and then select the desired coordinate system. LLA stands for the geographic coordinates, presented as latitudes and longitudes. UTM stands for the Universal Transverse Mercator Map Projection System. The state plane coordinate system applies only to the United States of America. The app will automatically display the datum on which the selected coordinate system is based. Let's select the LLA coordinate system. If you need to use a special projection, you can use PCGIS 9 or PCGIS X to set up the user-defined datum and coordinate system. After the relevant files are transferred to the app, the user-defined systems will become active within the app. You can then select user-defined under the coordinate system setup, and then select the special user-defined coordinate system. We will discuss user-defined coordinate system when we talk about the PCGIS software program. The app can display angles in various angle units. Select Elevation and Angle under Main menu, Setup, to specify the desired angle unit and azimuth system. Let's select DMS for the angle unit, and Bearing for the azimuth system. If azimuth is chosen, also specify north or south. If you are in the southern hemisphere, then select south for azimuth. These settings will be saved in the system configuration file for the app. This setup screen will also let you select the elevation system for displaying, importing, or exporting elevation values. Select orthometric when working with mean sea level, or MSL elevations. Select ellipsoidal when working with height above the ellipsoid, or HAE. By default, the app uses the built-in 30 by 30 grid files to convert the ellipsoidal height recorded by the GPS receiver to orthometric height. The ICMT GIS 3 and ICMT GIS Pro software programs are able to display the geoid file used. With an applicable 1x1 geoid file available, the app will use it for the orthometric height computation. To use a geoid 12B binary geoid separation file provided by NGS for your region of interest, please transfer it from your PC to the Documents folder for this app. Then, close this app and run it again. If you have the PCGIS X software program, then you can copy the CMT geoid file for your region to the ICMT GIS Pro Documents folder. The CMT geoid files take up less space than the NGS binary files.
What's the name of the configuration file?
The configuration file name consists of the name of the app plus the extension .cfg. For instance, for the ICMT GIS2 app, this file is named ICMT GIS2.cfg. If you would like to keep your existing system configuration, please save a copy of the configuration file to your PC. And then, after installing an update of the app, you can copy the configuration file back to the Documents folder for the app, to restore your settings. We will talk about file transfer later.
You may set up the default data collection parameters for point, line and area features, by tapping the menu button, selecting Setup, and then selecting Data Collection. For each of the items in the pull-down list for the logging mode field, you can specify the default parameter to use. Select whether you wish to have UTC time or local time displayed. Enter the local time offset, so the time can be correctly converted. For example, the UTC time offset for Pacific Standard Time is -8. It is -7 for Pacific Daylight Saving Time. If a feature list is associated with your data collection job, it governs the data collection parameters for the features defined in the feature list. Otherwise, the data collection parameters assume the default values. You may override these default parameters during data collection. By now, you should know how to get to the various items on the Setup menu. For the navigation settings, you can specify the color of the various markers, as well as turn the beeps on or off. If you set the trail length to be a non-zero number, say 100, then you will see a trail of the last 100 GPS fixes, while the GPS device is turned on. You can also specify how to keep the screen focused on your location by selecting an option for the navigation zoom mode. In the auto scroll mode, the job map will scroll to keep your position displayed on the screen while you are moving along. The map scale will not change. In the auto zoom mode, when you hit the border of the screen, the app will automatically zoom out to let you see more of the job map. The Move Map mode does not apply to the built-in Apple Map, which is fixed in the up direction. Close the built-in map when you would like to work in the Moving Map mode. The Move Map mode will work with the .tif georeferenced map images and the .pim map images prepared by using the PC GIS software program. Such a background map will reorient itself to align with your direction of motion in the Move Map mode. When you are moving at a high speed, such as in an aircraft, and you don't want the map to be constantly reorienting itself while you are collecting data, you could mark the checkbox for margin and specify a boundary within which the map will stay still. When you cross the boundary, then the map will reorient to align itself with your direction of motion. You can set up the default symbols and colors to be used for displaying the point, line and area features. Selection color is the color that will be used for displaying the selected feature. The orange color makes the selected point, line or area stand out from the other features in the job map. Default point pattern is the symbol and color that will be used by default for displaying newly added point features. Default line pattern is the line style and color that will be used by default for displaying newly added line features. Default area pattern is the pattern and color that will be used by default for displaying newly added area features. The CMT GPS GIS app provides the option to have all the features in the selected feature topic labeled with their ID information and attribute values. Under Setup Label, or Setup Auto Label, you can define the default font color and size, as well as the placement of these labels, with respect to the features. If you mark the checkbox for the Freeze Label Size and Zoom setting, then the label size will stay fixed when you zoom into or out of the job map screen. Please note that these settings will be applied to newly created labels. They will not affect any existing labels. If you will be sampling data at evenly spaced intervals in an area, then you could create a grid to serve as a data collection guide. You may set up a frequently used grid and have its parameters serve as the default values. To do so, first enter the desired grid orientation in the default grid setup screen. Specify whether you want grid nodes or grid lines generated. For the grid nodes option, you can specify the size of the cross mark that will be used to indicate the location of the grid nodes. For the grid lines option, you can choose to have grid lines created only in the X direction, or only in the Y direction, or in both directions. You may also specify the default color for the grid lines. In the Scale section, enter the grid spacing in the X and Y directions. You may also specify the boundary line style and color for the grid. The CMT GPS GIS app supports iCloud service for file storage. To make use of iCloud storage, make sure that the CMT app is turned on under the iCloud setting on your device. In the iCloud setup screen of the app, you will see a number of checkboxes corresponding to the types of files that can be saved to iCloud. There are 3 file groups for iGPS GIS2 and iCMT GIS2. There are many more file groups for the iCMT GIS Pro app. To specify which types of files, for which to enable iCloud storage, mark the checkboxes for the corresponding file types. When you enable iCloud for a file type, the app will move the selected type of files to your iCloud storage location when you tap the OK button on the iCloud setup screen. Afterwards, the app will look for that type of files only from the iCloud storage. When you unmark the iCloud checkbox for that file type, then the corresponding files will be copied back from iCloud storage to the local documents folder. And the app will look for the files in the local documents folder. For example, if you select iCloud storage for the job file type under menu, Setup, iCloud, the folder for loading and saving the .pmp files, and for importing the shape files would be on the cloud. Therefore the app would attempt to look for the files in iCloud. When you unmark the checkbox for the job file type, and tap on OK, the corresponding files will be copied back from iCloud storage. This will permit the app to look for the .pmp files and the shape files in the local documents folder for this app. As there are 2 possible places for storing your files, when you are puzzled why you are unable to find a certain file, be sure to inspect the iCloud storage setting.